evening, ladies and gents. My name is Noel Burtz, and welcome to Free Radio Europe. Today's special jumps back in time to an essential part of our radio's history, the Cold War. For a brief history, the FRE, Free Radio Europe, was determined to report the news no matter what the cost. We circumvented the jams that were imposed by the Soviet Union in an attempt to halt our broadcasts and shows. Although this led to violence against the station and the incarceration of source providers, the FRE was powered through. Even after the collapse of communism, Central Europe, Eastern Europe, and even Russia agreed to continue using FRE to broadcast information to their listeners. Today on FRE, we have a two-part show. This includes unseen or heard footage of an FRE broadcast during the Hungarian Revolution in response to a Soviet broadcast. We also have never before seen or heard interview with Andrei Sakharova, commenting on the dissident movements at the time. Both of these broadcasts show the importance of radio broadcasting and the events of the Cold War. Now, to give us more information about the Hungarian Revolution, we have Ms. Janice Neal.
Thanks for that, Noel. Hungary, 1956. Ring a bell? Through October and November, this was the time and place for the bloody Hungarian Revolution, whose events had effects on the political climate in Hungary for years to come. It all began with the October 23rd student demonstrations through central Budapest, all the way to the Parliament building. Using our own Free Radio Europe vans and loudspeakers, the students broadcasted their 16 demands. Among some of them, the demand for the withdrawal of Hungary from the Warsaw Pact, the adoption of a multi-party democracy, the withdrawal of the Russians from Hungary, and the guarantee of a ceasefire from UN forces. Now, at first, it seemed that Soviet leaders would withdraw from Hungary, but it turned out to be a very different story. Tonight we have some video footage from a 1956 Free Radio Europe broadcast. Take a look. Tonight we have some very hopeful news. This just in, Pravda, the official newspaper of the Communist Party, has published a declaration promising greater equality in Soviet and East European satellite relations. It reads, "The Soviet government is prepared to enter into the appropriate negotiations with the government of the Hungarian People's Republic and other members of the Warsaw Treaty on the question of the presence of Soviet troops on the territory of Hungary." But that very day, the Soviet leaders changed their mind and decided to attack. The ensuing events were bloody to say the least. Initially, the United States did not want to get involved, but eventually offered unconditional economic aid. This caused the Soviets to accuse that U.S. agents and money were supporting the revolution because of the U.S. supply of arms and supplies. And to top it off, there was this. We reach out to our Hungarian allies. We urge you to hold out until the U.S. elections come to a close. With a new rise of power, new support systems will be put into place to aid in the survival of the democratic state. If you can succeed in creating a central military command, foreign aid will be inevitable. We advise local authorities to secure stores of arms, provide food and supplies, and to hide freedom fighters who become separated from their unit. Try sabotaging railroad and telephone lines. The UN will definitely support you if you keep... This is what the Observer writes in today's number. The paper observes that the American Congress cannot vote for war as long as the presidential elections have not been held. The world's reaction to Hungarian events surpasses every imagination. In the Western capitals, a practical manifestation of Western sympathy is expected at any hour. While at the time our reports were made in the best interest for Europe, we got a lot of it wrong when addressing the Hungarian Revolution. We encouraged the Hungarians to hold out until new presidential elections came to a close, suggesting that foreign aid would come with the new U.S. president. However, our tone was all wrong. It was overexcited, there was too much rhetoric, too much emotionalism, and too much generalization. Due to our report, we had to undergo an internal investigation within FRE. The reports went against FRE policy by promising results that couldn't be confirmed. Though this shines some light on the broadcasting at the time, we unfortunately gave the Hungarians the wrong information. The compromise entailed more freedoms for the Hungarian people as long as there were no more uprisings. They also agreed upon more stable, liberal systems to increase personal freedoms within the country. Though we've had our setbacks, we've been able to report the news to the best of our ability. This has been our special segment on the Hungarian Revolution. Back to you, Noel.
Thanks, Janice. A never-before-seen broadcast allows Andrei Sakharov, the father of the Soviet hydrogen bomb, to discuss some of the major issues during the dissident movements that many people would have benefited from at the closing of the Cold War era.
Hi, I'm Susie Honest, and tonight we celebrate a wonderful moment of recognition in human history. Last night, the Nobel Peace Prize was awarded to Andrei Sakharov for championing human rights in the Soviet Union. Sakharov has stood up to the abuse of power and human rights by the Kremlin, championing a cause for which he could end up in exile, a mental hospital, or labor camp. Sakharov has publicly supported fellow scientists, poets, politicians, and any sufferers under the Communist Party's regime. We are extremely honored to actually have Sakharov here tonight to speak on this incredibly pressing issue. Tell me a little more about how the journey that you were on to a more liberal Russia and Eastern Bloc began.
Well, Susie, this dissident movement has long-standing origins, and in August of 1969, the Initiative Group for the Defense of Civil Rights in the Soviet Union was founded by 15 brave dissidents. Concerning themselves with documenting and appealing to United Nations-specific cases of human abuses, this organization paved the way for the Moscow-Helsinki Group and the Committee on Human Rights in the Soviet Union, the committee in which I lead. We continue to systematically document cases of human rights abuses to produce as much material as we can on the crimes that Kremlin has allowed to occur.
Where does this immense amount of information go?
Because our government knowingly conducts these abuses and conceals them from us, we have no choice but to take the network underground. For this reason, we use the samizdat bulletins to circulate information. Like the Chronicle of Current Events, a bulletin that has been circulating since 1968.
That is an incredible accomplishment. Tell me a little more about these samizdat bulletins.
Samizdat is simply a word that indicates something that is self-made. One notable example of the Samizdat book by Alexander Solzhenitsyn is the Gulag Archipelago, published in France. The book is a sensational read. It reveals many of the horrors of the Gulag, but because it was published abroad, the horrors were revealed to the world. Subsequently, Alexander was stripped of his citizenship and in exile from the Soviet Union. In fact, I believe your show broadcasted our subsequent Moscow appeal, which we requested all the mass media to circulate.
Yes, I remember it well. In fact, I read aloud the demands that you made in regards to Solzhenitsyn.
For which I thank you, Susie.
I thank you for being here, and I wish you and the rest of the people of the Eastern Bloc the respect and freedoms you deserve in the near future. Ladies and gentlemen, that is our sobering broadcast for tonight. I'm Susie Honest, and this has been Free Radio Europe.
So much enlightening information has been provided through these broadcasts and reports. Thank you for joining us on our special broadcast of FRE's history during the Cold War. Stay tuned for more historical truth as we continue our future broadcasts. See you next time on Free Radio Europe.